that I wanted them to hold on to. I thought immediately of the players meeting during the rain delay and how connected they were with each other, how invested they were in each other's fates, how they turned each other's tears into determination. During rain delays, players typically come in off the field and head to their own lockers. They sit there by themselves, they change their wet jerseys, they check their phones, they think about what's gone right and wrong during the game. They become engrossed in their own little worlds. That would have been disastrous for our team during Game 7. 25 players sitting alone at their lockers, lamenting the bad breaks, assigning blame, wallowing, wondering. Instead, they had the instinct to come together. Actually, it was not an instinct, it was a choice. One day, I will tell Jack and Drew that some players and some of us go through our careers with our heads down, focused on our craft and our tasks, keeping to ourselves, worrying about our numbers or our grades, pursuing the next objective goal, building our resumes, projecting our individual interest. Other players and others amongst us go through our careers with our heads up as a real part of a team, alert and aware of others, embracing difference, employing empathy, genuinely connecting, putting collective interests ahead of our own. It is a choice. The former approach, keeping our head down, seems safer and more efficient, and I guess sometimes it is. The latter, connecting, keeping our heads up, allows us to lead, and every now and then to be part of something much greater than ourselves, and therefore to truly triumph. I know, I will tell them, because I've tried it both ways. And I'll tell Jack and Drew that we all have our rain delay moments. There will be times when everything you've been wanting, everything you have worked for, everything you have earned, everything you feel you deserve is snatched away in what seems like a personal and unfair blow. This, I will tell them, is called life. But when these moments happen, and they will you be alone at your locker with your head down, lamenting, divvying up blame, or will you be shoulder to shoulder with your teammates, connected, with your heads up, giving and receiving support? And I will tell them not to wait until the rain comes to make this choice, because that can be too late. We weren't winners that night in Cleveland because we ended up with one more run than the Indians. If Zobrist's ball had been 4 inches farther off the line, that double would have been a double play, and we would have lost the game. That was randomness. Like much of life, it was arbitrary. We were winners that night in Cleveland because when things went really, really wrong, and then when the rains came, our players already knew each other so well that they could come together. They already trusted each other so much that they could open up and be vulnerable. And they already were so connected that they could lift one another up. We had already won. That's why I had that smile on my face as I walked away from the weight room door. I later learned that the players-only meeting had been called by Hayward, a 27-year-old suffering through a terrible offensive season, by far the worst of his career. Most players who are having seasons that rough detach themselves from the team, either head to the disabled list or at the periphery of the clubhouse, isolate themselves. But Hayward stayed at the center of everything. He never stopped being invested in his teammates. He opened up to them about his struggles. He bought them sweets on the road for gatherings. The first to speak in the meeting was Ross, the 38-year-old backup catcher in his final season, who made a career out of being a wonderful teammate. And by the way, is now in the finals of Dancing with the Stars. You thought you were having a good year. Rossi was always reaching out to befriend the loneliest players, always organizing team dinners, always breaking down the barriers that sometimes arise between players of different backgrounds in the clubhouse. The last to speak at the meeting was Rizzo, the young team leader who all season long was reminding his teammates that they were going to make history together. They were going to have a parade and then be linked in eternity forever. Anthony, a survivor of pediatric cancer, just celebrated the World Series by making a $3.5 million gift to Chicago's Lurie Children's Hospital. Schwarber, who had the bat in his hands and raced out of the meeting into the batter's box, had torn 2 ligaments in his knee in the 3rd game of the season, a 12 to 15-month injury. Rather than disappearing to a rehab facility, Schwarber, just 23 years old, stayed connected with the team, getting his rehab work done early in the morning so his teammates didn't have to see him in that state, and then functioning as an extra coach for his teammates the rest of the day. He kept telling his teammates he was going to find a way to be there for them, find a way to help them win. Shocking the doctors and everyone else, Schwarber returned in just 6 months, right in time for the World Series. He hit over 400 in the World Series, including that single to start the deciding rally in Game 7. So early in my career, I used to think of players as assets, statistics on a spreadsheet I could use to project future performance and measure precisely how much they were going to impact our team on the field. I used to think of teams as portfolios, diversified collections of player assets, paid to produce up to their projections to ensure the organization's success. My head had been down. That narrow approach worked for a while, but it certainly had its limits. I grew, and my team-building philosophy grew as well. The truth, as our team proved in Cleveland, is that a player's character matters. The heartbeat matters. Fears and aspirations matter. The player's impact on others matters. The tone he sets matters. The willingness to connect matters. Breaking down cliques and overcoming stereotypes in the clubhouse matters. Who you are, how you live among others, that all matters. The youngest team in World Series history, 6 starters under the age of 25. They helped me get my head up. That is why, at the important moments in their lives, I'm going to keep telling my sons about the 2016 Cubs and that rain delay. And I'll remind them when they are graduating college or starting a new job, heading off to grad school or beginning a new life somewhere foreign, that they have a choice. So, class of 2017, as someone who has already been uplifted by members of your generation, I am thankful and really in awe of what you all can accomplish when given the space to be free, to let your personalities out, and to figure it out. I'm truly inspired by the traits that distinguish your generation, your diversity, your boldness, your optimism, your tolerance, your treatment of others based on substance rather than on the labels that used to divide us. I am so excited to see what lies ahead for you all. While there will undoubtedly be times here and there when you have to suck it up, follow the code, put on that suit and tie, I urge you to remember that if you think you look hot, wear it. And please remember that even though so much can be quantified these days, the most important things cannot be. And finally, when things go really, really wrong, and then when it rains on top of everything else, fingers crossed for tomorrow, I ask you to choose to keep your heads up and come together, to connect, and to rally around one another, especially those who need it the most. It is likely to uplift you all. Thank you, and congratulations.